Oh, buddy, Andy here again. Well, the other day I took a pledge, not that sort of temperance pledge or anything like that. I can't imagine myself doing that, but it was a pledge, and if I can find the website, it was at a website called readitfirst.com, and their sort of tagline is, "Don't let the movie ruin the book." And the actual pledge is, I, my name, residing at your email address, do solemnly swear to read the book before I see the movie wherever humanly possible. I can't remember who put it up there, but I thought I'd check that out and have a look, because it's one of those things. I don't know if there's lots of movies come out all the time, films or whatever you want to call them. I tend to call them movies nowadays. It just saves confusion, I think, and that's creeping in over here in the UK. But there's one out at the moment my wife went to see. I've got the book here. Yeah, there it is. It's called One Day by a guy called David Nichols. A very good book. I read that about a year or so ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. But I've been reading quite a lot about it. Reviews, comments, etc. about the book, because as so often happens, I actually changed certain parts of the book, and it's been, apparently the screenplay is written by David Nichols, I do believe, so he's had to compromise himself a little bit to get this onto the silver screen, onto the big screen. And my wife went to see the film the other day, and she was going to read the book, and I said, don't read the book. If you're going to see the movie, don't bother. Go with your friends and enjoy it, and then maybe leave it a while and read the book afterwards, because you're not tainted by that, are you? And some of her friends that she went with had read the book and were sort of disappointed. My wife said it's a great film, don't get me wrong with that, you know, it's as a work of art, I suppose, as a body of work or whatever it is, it came out all right. And that's the problem, you see, with all this thing. You read something like that, you read a book like that, and you form an opinion in your head, you form pictures in your head. That's what books are all about, because you have to read them. It's an individual way that you look at it. You picture things in your head. You hear the sort of characters' voices, don't you? You picture the scenes, whether you know, especially imaginary places, but that's set in Edinburgh and other places as well. If you've never been to Edinburgh, if it's written well enough, if any book or, you know, bit of prose or magazine article or whatever is written well enough, it drags you into it, it draws you into it, and you can actually picture yourself. You can think of yourself as actually being there. And that's what happens when you read a good book. You get a good story, you engage with the characters, you like them, you hate them, whatever it might be, you hear their voices, you picture them as well, and the scenes, etc. in the book, you form that image in your mind. And then what happens is, when you go to see the film, when it comes out, the movie at the cinema, your multiplex or whatever it is, even if it is pretty faithful to the book and doesn't really change too much at all, you could still be slightly disappointed. Sometimes that, you know, we've all seen examples of books where we've been to cinema. I can think of one, Captain Corelli's Mandolin, which I must admit I always avoided at the actual film, because I really enjoyed the book, and you've got Nicolas Cage, I think, as the main character in that, and it just doesn't seem right. It's like, if anybody remembers the A Passage to India, Ian Forster's book, which I'd read as well, one of those sort of classic books of the the British Raj over there in India, and they cast Alec Guinness, a wonderful actor who I'll mention again in a minute, but one of my favourite actors of all time. They sort of cast him as an Indian, and it just didn't work, and it ruins everything. And it's that whole sort of thing about compromising when authors get involved with books. Yes, the money, they cost it. I'm sure anybody, you know, if you're an author of any type, you want to see your book, your work that you put so much into, actually get a big budget movie, a blockbuster movie or whatever. Sometimes that compromise means that things are completely changed and it's a bit out of your control, and it changes the whole nature of the book. It changes the story sometimes. They change endings to books and things like that, and I just do not understand. If that's what you want, why not get a screenwriter to write your own thing? They're basically nicking someone's good idea and then changing it into what they want in the first place. If you like the book, no, be faithful to it, you know, appreciate the book, show it some respect, and actually treat it with respect and do it properly. Now, another one that's just come out is this. The original book, John le Carré, there's Alec Guinness on the front, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I've not seen the movie, but I know that John le Carré, or David Cornwell, as I think his real name is, was actively involved with that, and he is very happy with the way that the movie has come out. And I know that there are slight differences. They've added little scenes into it, but they haven't changed the actual nature of the book. I mean, with a spy story and there's a traitor at the end, I suppose you couldn't really change it, although I'm sure that that's happened in the past where the traitor has been changed to somebody else to suit the movie and a love interest, and they bung all that sort of stuff in there, don't they? But that's one of the things that annoys me so much with these things. They change the story to put in there what they think the viewing public actually want, a love interest, a bit of action or something. Apparently this, I would love to go and see it actually, is a nice old-fashioned slow movie, and if you like sort of guns and exploding cars and all this type of thing and sort of romps in beds and all this, it's probably not the type of thing for you. It's slow, it's smoky, it's authentic to the sort of 70s when it was set, and I think that's great. And the fact that John le Carré was involved in it and was happy to compromise a little bit and change things and maybe help to write a new bit. I don't think he wasn't the screenwriter, so I understand, but he was attached to the film and a consultant, I suppose, and if he's happy with it, and he is happy with it, then that's got to be a good thing. And this leads me on to another example actually. I was contacted by somebody the other day who had to do with music, and they were going to meet somebody because someone had shown an interest in somebody. I'm not going to mention any other things. So one of the things that I actually put, they asked my opinion, which I'm very pleased to give and very quite flattered to actually be asked. But one of the things I said is you've got to think about compromise. We can think of so many artists once again, and I'm involved with bands now and was having this conversation a little bit yesterday with one of the members of the band about, do you want to compromise yourself? If you do get that opportunity, would you be prepared to compromise and change your sound, change your image, change certain aspects of your performance or whatever it is to conform to what that particular person wants? Because ultimately it's what you want. As I said, it's with the books. You write a book and you want to get it onto the silver screen, and someone comes along, Mr. Spielberg or someone says, look, here's a check for X amount of millions of dollars, we're going to put your book and make it into a movie and put it out there, it's going to be a blockbuster and it'll make lots of money, but we want to kill off this character, we want to change them, we want to make them American and not English, we want to move it from America to Russia or something like that, and it's going to be filmed on a beach and not in a wood, or all those compromises. And you think, well, hang on a minute, you've got to think to yourself, do I actually want that? Am I so attached to this work, to the book, to the music, to my singing career or whatever, that I'm prepared to give that up? Because if you do want to compromise things, I haven't got a problem with that, that's fair enough, but I'd like to think that people have got a bit more integrity and don't want to compromise, because after all, yes, it's one thing to have someone to come along and say, look guys, I think you could change this a little bit here and give people advice and give constructive criticism, or to say, have you thought about doing this, have you thought about doing that, that could make it a little bit more commercial. If you agree, fine, go with it, but if you don't agree, don't do it, in my opinion, because if one person's interested in you, you can bet your life that somebody else will be, whether with that particular book or with your band, the music you're producing. If somebody shows an interest, it's got to be good, otherwise they wouldn't be bothered. And that's what I said to this particular person who asked my advice. If this particular producer or this particular manager is interested in you, then you can bet your life that others will be as well. And it takes a lot of courage, I think, to sort of stand back and say, well, actually, I think we'll wait a little bit longer. It's not an easy thing to say, it's not an easy thing to do, whether it be a movie, your pet project as a book, or whether it's your band that or singing career that you put a lot of faith into, you've written the songs and you've built it up over time. So it's not easy to do that, so I do understand why people do compromise, but it does annoy me at times, especially when you've read the book first. So that's the thing to do. Read it first, then go and see the movie, form your own opinion, and do it that way. You've got it in your head, and maybe wait a little bit. Don't go and see it straight away. Don't read the book too soon to go in to see the movie or something like that. And if you do watch the movie, then read the book a bit later and view it as a slightly different body of work or something, and appreciate the two as separate entities, I suppose. But I hate that when you read something and you form those opinions, you see those pictures in your head, you get all those voices in your head, the right type of voices, and then you go to the cinema, see the movie, and you think, oh, what's all that about? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Love to know what you think about this, whether you'd be willing to compromise. Maybe you can't make that decision until actually someone says to you, Andy, we want you to do this. That's the time when you have to think about it. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.